2 on this code, don't blame people. So often in society, we see this happen, unfortunately, more and more. We shrug off responsibility and accountability. We look to pass the blame to someone else. It's not my fault. Yet in Romans chapter 14 and verse 12, we read, "So then each of us shall give an account of himself to God." Of ourselves. I give an account when I stand before my Creator. I will give an account of myself, no one else. The Lord will know who's to blame. Further, Paul, when he wrote his letter to Corinth in 2 Corinthians 13:5, we read, "Examine yourselves as to whether you are in the faith. Test yourselves. Do you not know yourselves that Jesus Christ is in you? Unless indeed you are disqualified." We have to judge ourselves. We have to examine ourselves. I have to be willing and I have to be accountable. You know, I say something to our guys out at baseball. You know, I'm a baseball coach, and we talk about a lot of different things, and we talk about ability. For you to be a good baseball player or any type of athlete, I suppose, you need to have a little bit of ability. That helps. Okay, and so we talk about the importance of honing and practicing in order to help strengthen and to help broaden your ability. But at the same time, one thing that we like to preach to them, for lack of a better word, is that the best type of ability is accountability. Because if I don't examine myself, and determine, am I working hard enough to get better? And this is in this instance. But if I'm working hard enough to get better, did I put in the work that I needed to? Am I striving towards the goal that I've set out for myself? But at the same time, you could apply it to us as Christians. We have to hold ourselves accountable. I can't blame people. You know, it's just been, I can make excuses regularly. And of course, this goes for any aspect of life, but as Christians, we can do that. We can make excuses. We can say, well, I just don't have the time, or I'm really busy, or we can hold ourselves accountable. And so often, sadly, when I think about this too, you know, in James chapter 1, verses 14 and 15, and we're told there that we sin when we're drawn away by our own lusts. Right? We're drawn away by what we want. So often we see people in today and we want to blame someone else for our sin. You know, they just put me in a real tough spot, or they tempted me, or they didn't do this or that. And yet, we don't sin because of what someone else does. We sin because we choose it. You think of Adam and Eve. It's the greatest example. Eve easily could have said, you know, this serpent, he was so, cunning. And he made such a great argument. What was I supposed to do? Adam, this woman you gave me, she gave me the fruit, Lord. But God didn't see it that way. He didn't say, well, you make a good point. Maybe I shouldn't have given her to you. Adam was to blame for his own choices. He could have said no. And so we've got to make sure as we examine ourselves and as we view ourselves, we don't allow ourselves to pass the blame to other people. Oh, this is the situation I'm in and it's not my fault. I've shared this with our with our college group over the years. You know, there are different stages of life that you've been in, and some of you have experienced more than others, but at times you think, if I can just get past this particular stage of life, things will be easier. Right? You do that, and I may have mentioned this before, you're in high school and you face certain temptations and other things. We won't talk about middle school. That has many of its own problems. But you're in high school and you have temptations and other things, and you think, if I could just get past high school. And then you go on to college, and of course, maybe some of those temptations you had went away. Maybe they didn't, but now you have new ones. And you say, boy, if I could just get out of college, I'll live on my own, and maybe I'll get married, and things will be. And then there's new temptations, new problems, new struggles. And we can't blame our situation, and we can't blame our circumstance. I heard it said one time, going back to Adam and Eve, so often we think, if my circumstance were different, if I had better circumstances, then I would be better. And yet we neglect to realize that it was in paradise that man fell for the first time. And so we say, oh, if my circumstances were better, Adam and Eve's circumstances couldn't have been better. And yet it was there that they fell. We have to be accountable. We can't blame others.